Ghislaine Maxwell found guilty in sex trafficking trial. This is a Guardian story. British former socialite Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty of sex trafficking in her Manhattan federal court trial late December. Prosecutors said Maxwell preyed on vulnerable young girls, manipulated them, and served them up to be sexually abused by Epstein. There were 4 accusers in this case: Jane, Kate, Caroline, who did not use their full names, and Ann Farmer, who did. Jane testified that she was 14 years old in 1994 when Epstein started to sexually abuse her, and that sometimes Maxwell was present during the abuse. At times, Maxwell participated in the abuse. There were hands everywhere, Jane recalled, of an encounter with Epstein and Maxwell. The abuse continued when she was 15, 16. Maxwell faced up to 65 years in prison. Ghislaine Maxwell's Little Black Book to remain secret after judge warns needles name dropping. That's an independent, needless name dropping. By the way, who has the Black Book? Ghislaine Maxwell's Little Black Book, containing the names and addresses of nearly 2,000 world leaders, celebrities, and alleged victims, will remain secret. Maxwell's defense attorney came to an agreement with a prosecutor over the weekend not to release the 97-page directory to the public. Judge Allison Nathan had previously said she wanted to avoid needless name dropping during the trial. The book was filled with contact details of Miss Maxwell and Epstein's famous friends, including Prince Andrew, former U.S. President Bill Clinton, and Trump, and had been mentioned sporadically during her sex trafficking trial. So I'm sure you being in this world, you've been following the story. What do you know about what's going on here?
Oh, all right. I'm going to try to make this. Fast, but this is very, very nuanced. So, as an example, the Black Book being sealed, right? Well, that happened back in December, early December. The Black Book is no longer sealed. It was only sealed in the courtroom because the judge didn't want the jury getting distracted with a bunch of super famous names. That was really what it came down to. We've actually made this very easy for everybody. You can go to maxwelltrial.deliverfund.org, and we have posted links to the Little Black Book, which was leaked by Gawker back in 2015. Yep. You can see it there. You can see the flight logs. You can see all the evidence that was entered into court. And the reason we did that was to kind of get rid of some of the conspiracy theories. Now, the Little Black Book, what is it? The DOJ has it. It was stolen by the butler, I believe it was, who was essentially using it as an insurance policy. The DOJ got their hands on it because the butler tried to then sell it to an undercover DOJ FBI agent. He ended up getting some consequences for that. But the Black Book was an address book. It's no different than the address book in your phone, right? I mean, Patrick, you've got everybody from CIA people to mobsters in your phone, right? I mean, it's
prior to your phone, everyone had a Little Black Book. Right? It was called your Rolodex.
Or you had your Palm Pilot before that, or depending on where you are in the technology adoption story, it was just an address book. So there's all kinds of people in there who, some of them were up to no good, and some of them were doing some pretty terrible things, and some of them were, the freaking handyman who fixed the hot water heater. Gotcha. Right? I mean, so it's we get focused on the Little Black Book. And
so it's not a ledger. It's not like this person came.
It's not like the Heidi Fleiss sex book, exactly.
Right? No, go to.
It's an address book.
Yeah, go to maxwelltrial.deliverfund.org and click on the link that says Little Black Book.
But it is pretty interesting what famous names might be in that book.
Well, yeah.
Like, the plumber, okay, the handyman, your friend, but like,
that's
Prince
the conversation.
Andrew's in the book?
That's the conversation, right? But Prince Andrew's in the book.
Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, what else?
Alec Baldwin. I mean, but what's really interesting, don't focus on the Black Book. Focus on the flight logs.
Correct.
That's what you want to focus on, right? And we posted a link to the flight logs as well. You focus on the flight logs and who's on there, right? And where they were going. So, okay, we all know that Epstein Islands, right? This is not Nick's opinion. This is now like fact. You're right. DOJ established fact that there was sex trafficking happening within the Epstein
compound.
Not just compound, but within his ecosystem. Right, because it was the London house. It was, he had the New York townhouse. Right,
he had multiple locations
within his ecosystem.
London house.
Yeah. I mean, he had. I mean, it places really all over the world. And so the question is, what was he doing What was the source of his funds? Because, like, tell me what his business was.
He was a financial advisor, wasn't he?
Was he?
Wasn't he?
Was he though?
I don't know.
I
Dun, 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 dun.
he was a financier. He was an executive producer. He was a financier of films and other projects.
Well,
and
that's
things
one
like
of the
that,
things
right?
that they can't. And I've read. I know where you're going with this. The guy died being worth around $600 million to $1 billion, but nobody knows how he made his money.
Yeah.
Maybe he had the same financial advisor Nancy Pelosi does.
I mean, that's the question that needs to be asked, right? And then where do you get that kind of power? Well, it makes
what don't we know? Like what?
we-
Here's the question, because everything you just said so far, I've followed all the stories so far on what you covered. What don't we know that's important to know? The flight log, yep, I agree. We need to know what the flight log is on who went on there. All of that stuff.
There's
I totally
flight log
get
right
it.
there.
With folks that I've seen this. But what I want to know is what do we need to find out next? And the information that we need to find out, are we really going to find out? Or, the other day I saw Donald Trump Jr. post a picture saying, Ghislaine Maxwell, the day she was born, and then he said 2 weeks. She's not going to be here within the next 2 weeks. So
is she going to plead guilty the way that Epstein did?
that's right. So what don't we know? Who's hiding? Does the government know what's going on? Are they holding back what's going on? Is there any you hear the conspiracies about they're trying to hold back from people finding out because a lot of people would go down. What's really going on behind closed doors?
So just because all right, conspiracy theories. Yeah, you bet there's some powerful people who are starting to sweat. And to think that we have equal access to the legal system in this country is just not true, because if you have money, you have more access to the legal system. That's just the way that it works. So anybody who has a lot of money, who might potentially have something to be concerned about, has the ability to get in front of that. So let's not kid ourselves into thinking that they don't. What is the DOJ going to do about that? I don't know. What we need and what we don't have, or at least what I have not seen publicly, the DOJ might have this, is we need a full financial audit back to the beginning of time of Epstein's accounts. That's what we need. Where did the money come from? Right? Because I think you're going to see a decent amount of outflow.
That's what I want to know.
But I think most of your outflow is going to be jet fuel, right? It's going to be rent. It's going to be those types of things. Sure. I think most of your inflow, that's what I'm interested in, is where did that money come from?
You make a great point, and the point about power. You were talking about power, and it's basically, were these nefarious sexual encounters really the equivalent of Epstein making bones, as the mafia would say, on other people, right? And that became his labyrinth source of power. Because it all goes like this, and so now he's got control. And I agree with you. It's like, where did the money come from? What was the money actually used for? Really used for? Because the obvious outflows are going to be, service maintenance, jet fuel, all the things for all these locations. Okay, well, what was going on?
Well, and look at, right there, line 9 on the flight log, right? Bill Clinton plus 4 Secret Service, 2 males, 1 female, and then a bunch of initials.
GMSKAP.
Yeah. So, but there's your point. Like, all right, so what was happening there? But then go up to flight number 51 and Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, I saw that.
Go down the next one, right? Yeah, so and that's where I think we need to be.
No, you were on the go back on the same page you were at, line 1. Yeah,
that's where we need to be a little bit careful.
On the first page you were on.
Right there,
you
boom.
Go. Control zoom. 51 Cyndi Lauper.
And Cyndi Lauper, and then above that, Cyndi Lopez, or maybe that was Cyndi Lopez.
And what do? They go back and they find the initials and they identify who that person likely is, and they start questioning those people. Is that how it works?
I don't know what the DOJ is doing. Just because your name is on here doesn't mean you committed a crime.
Right.
Right. But it's a decent indicator that
you're running in the circles.
That deserves some questions.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.